Batman, Killing Time, issue 4, Tom King writing, David Marquez on the art. Still playing with the time, jumping back and forth. Now we revolve around a meet between Riddler and the woman who is purchasing the mysterious item. But we also see that she has replaced all of the workers at this diner with her own people. But Riddler's also stashed Catwoman in like a cupboard, and she's going to jump out and help. So that's stuff that it bounces around, sets up, and pays off as it's going.
This story, and I love it for this, is needlessly elaborate.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's so many different things going on that it is really hard for me to keep everything straight. So I'm curious to see how this reads once it's released in a trade, because you're gonna not have the time in between the books to remember all the stuff, Yeah. So I will say that the addition of the Help, it might be one of my favorite Tom King things, because this is a character that I wasn't here. Yeah, I wasn't here to talk about him last time because I was on vacation, but I just has the evil anti-Batman.
Oh, that's right. Because Cara never read it, so I had to talk about him on my own. But I really like the whole, after he beat Batman in a fight, he's like, "Hey, you could be good if you want training. Come and speak to him."
And I'm reading him as Jason Statham because he's a bald, scary guy. So reading that voice with that, the gruffness. So them teaming up here even more, and then what we learn about the Help. In this book too, I was like, oh man, it's one of my favorite Tom King additions to the Batman lore.
Yeah, the Help in this issue, he's obviously very violent, as we know. He goes into a petrol station, a gas station, for a map, and the guy's like, "Dude, what year is it? Like, use your phone." And he's like, "I don't have a phone." He's like, "You should get one then." And then he kills the guy and takes his phone. Yeah,
it's
took his advice.
No country for old men, right? Yeah.
So basically, he wants to track down Batman. He knows that, he figures that Batman will probably check this zoo, and sure enough, there's a bunch of we keep cutting back to Batman like dodging and fighting tigers throughout the issue, and the Help shows up and helps. Yeah. But that's what he does. But he's like, "Hey, I want to find this item. You want to find this item, and maybe when we get to the point where we actually have it within reach, we'll have to once again go toe to toe. But until then, yeah. So it's basically Royal Rumble rules. We're going to team up until the prize is within sight, and then we can do the fight." But Batman's not excited about it. But obviously, he needs to find them. Needs to find Selina. Needs to find Riddler. The other big thing though is that Penguin wakes up in the hospital and pulls out his his medical apparatus. And this is a demonic page. Like, see the page where he screams when he pulls out his tube from his mouth? That is like a horror page. And later on, they never show him clearly. Like, there's another scene later on where he's clearly talking to Two-Face, and you can it doesn't reveal Two-Face's face either. You just see the coin being flipped, and you see the silhouettes of them standing on the docks, and it's basically Penguin is hiring for a night. He gives Two-Face a lot of money and says, "I need all of your goons, all of your men, for one thing, for one night." And there's an implication that this is not the only people that he's hiring. He's actually going around all of the other villains and getting all of their goons, because he's going to put on an assault, presumably on Riddler and Catwoman, right? Because they betrayed him.
By proxy, Batman and the Help, right?
Yeah. So I thought that stuff was really well handled, and it kind of built me up for some suspense, where I was like, "Oh, I'm actually really excited about this." And obviously the stuff with the Riddler and the woman sitting talking about, because she's like, "Well, I sent the guy with the money to come get the thing, and he turned up dead. It's not my fault you didn't get it. He went where you told him to. Give me my item." And Riddler's like, "No, pay me." It's like, I sent the money to you." So
their little back and forth was great.
It's good. I think what makes it work as well as an issue is that the whole time she thinks she's got the upper hand, and we see that she's got the upper hand because she's replaced all the employees with her own people. But then Riddler's just as cocky, and then eventually Catwoman kills all of her men, and it's like, "Oh shit, you never had the upper hand. You thought you did."
Yes.
But theater is. So I enjoyed all that stuff. And then of course it ends with Batman the Help. They investigate this diner at the end, and the Help's like, "Well, it looks like nothing ever happened, but because he's an expert, he's like, I know what to look for, and they've cleaned it up. Whatever went down here, there was something violent, but it was cleaned up.
Yep.
So yes, so we have to go. So that's basically the end of the issue. There's also these historic flashbacks that thematically tie in.
Yeah, the ancient Greek stuff with the the queen that killed her son and put his head on a spike, but she was in such a such a ecstatic mental state from Dionysus that she doesn't realize it's her son until it's already too late.
And then it jumps ahead to like 500 years later where they're doing a play of this event. Right. Yeah. I do have to admit, like, a lot of the dialogue in the play section is just kind of like was a blur to me.
It's tough. I just skimmed it just because that's all old, Greek playwright stuff.
Yeah, so, I have a hard time reading that stuff, so I get the idea of what it's doing. Yep. I'm sure there's some nuance in here that I would get if I could understand this, but I'm just going to skip past it.
I agree. But it's also revealed that the Help has ties to Ra's al Ghul.
Oh yeah.
That's why he's so long lived, and Ra's calls him son, which I don't think it's his actual biological son.
No.
But I do think he was someone that he looked at as a successor, like Bruce.
They did imply last issue that he can recognize Ra's al Ghul's training. Yep. So, but yeah, he never sees like his face, and I don't think he ever sees Bruce's face. But there's a moment where you can sort of tell Bruce is one of the ninjas who's training. Yep. And he mentions like, hey, this guy's the one. He's my heir, kind of thing.
Yeah. And so it feels like the Help was someone that was earmarked and special to Ra's, and then something happened.
And it was Ra's who gave Bruce this item as well. So
yeah. But something happened which led to him going and lending his services out across whatever. But I do like that tie. That why he's so invested in this thing too is it ties back to him and who he is.
Yeah, because last issue it felt almost abrupt. Oh, and I like the twist though. I like the twist that he goes to Penguin and says, "No, I'm claiming this for myself. I'm no longer working for you, Penguin." Mm-hmm. I like that moment. Here it gives it a little bit of context where once he found out what the item was, he's like, wait, I know that item. I've been thinking about that item ever since I saw it that one time when Raz, whipped it out. So maybe that's what it is. It's just Raz's dick.
Nah. But yeah. No, it's just really good. It's another thing I'm glad we lined up on is the Greek text stuff. I was just like, I'm reading this late at night. And I'm just like,
what's funny is the one of us who might like it out of the three of us is Connor, but Connor wasn't reading the book.
And Connor would pick out all the nice little nuance in it, and but yeah, no, that's very funny.
So no, I like this issue quite a bit. Marquez's art, of course, is
it's
great,
top notch.
Yeah, it's just it's very consistent, and it's very expressive, which is especially good when you've got scenes like the Riddler. Like, and because it's basically a Tarantino scene where it's just two people at a table talking, but there's so much layered into their intentions and like what's been revealed around them. In fact, obviously Tarantino doesn't jump around as much as this comic does, but the idea of jumping back to earlier and showing you when they set up the trap is actually very Tarantino.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of that in here.
And not just the jump around, but the way that there's like 4 different plans in play, right? Like, we have Riddler's plan, we have Batman's plan, we have the Help, and then we have Penguin. And then it feels like Catwoman, I'm sure she has her own thing going on, too. But and each plan involves the other person at a certain point, too. So it's all very intricate. It's very clockwork.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Catwoman's not actually murdered anyone. She's just injured them. And it turns out she's actually kind of in cahoots with Batman by the end, somehow.
Right.
I don't know how... I don't know if it adds up exactly, but... I feel like there's maybe going to be a twist at some point in this, but we'll see. So yeah, this is issue 4 of 6.
We're past the halfway point.
Yeah, I've quite enjoyed this, to be honest. This is better than anything King's done Batman-wise since before the wedding, probably. Well, no, I like the jury stuff with Mr. Freeze. Yeah. That was probably the last Tom King Batman thing that I really, really loved.
The jury stuff is my favorite Batman stuff that King did, but this is coming to a close second. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this.
All right. What you rating Batman Killing Time issue 4?
8.5.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 8.5. Really good.